Okay, let's move on to the next part of our model. The upper part of the work, which also has these elements inside. We need to start modeling it. Okay, let's give this to it. The inverse map. I've already drawn my ceiling and have it. Since I want to start the interior with a different volume and add to it, I don't need to work with this part, and we'll just start modeling here. Okay, here we have a rosary, and here we have something like our capital. And the rest are tools. Here, you could say, is the boundary between the colored part and the stone part. We start very quickly. Approximately this part is a combination of the previous two parts. Now, to fix the inside of the work, what should we do? I'll use a sphere. I'll place it in the center. Now, first, to determine the center, I'll bring a line. I'll press S2 and draw it from this point to here, and right-click. And I've also activated midpoint. Now the sphere I selected. From the center, I want to draw it to this point. I grab it and draw it to this point. Very good. I right-click and press S to exit. Now 32 faces is correct. Meaning 4 times 8, which should be 32 segments. You see that the error is approximately on a point, which can be said to be exactly on those points. If it wasn't, you'd have to rotate it a bit to place it on those points. These lines should exactly be on these points, meaning they should pass through these. I'll convert it to editable poly. And then I'll press 4, and I don't want half of it, and I have to delete it. With half the work, half the sphere will do the job. Okay, now let's move on to modeling it. See, I want to create each of these lines on my sphere. How do I create them? I'll press 2. I select this line, and I have to select all the lines next to it and make a connect. Here we have an option called Ring, which selects a ring for us by itself. If I select one of them and press Ring, it selects all around me. I want to connect. I want to connect at this point. I want a connect that passes through this point. So I want 2. I'll reduce their distance a bit. With the second one, I'll also adjust it a bit with the lower one, so it sits in its place. It will be in the position I want. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit so that the work is more precise. It doesn't need to be extremely precise. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit so that the work is more precise. It doesn't need to be extremely precise. Let's put 30, minus 30. Minus 28 is better. It doesn't need to be extremely precise. For example, here I might just leave it like this, at this size, and I won't make the work difficult. Okay, I'll go to Perspective, press F4, and select a point to see how it goes downwards. With the same movement we did before with Cut. I start drawing from this point and the next lines until the end. For the lines behind them, as I said, I will use this line. I'll take this one and connect it here. Same for the next line. Again, you see that it's done like this. Is done. For those as well, I need to make a connect here. It's already in the right place. Same for the line below it. We need a connect. Same for this one. For the final line, it's not needed. I'll do these and put it in time-lapse mode so as not to take up too much of your time. We've reached this part. This last section I want to delete. This, and this one. If I press delete, you'll see what happens. If I press delete, it will disappear. I press Ctrl Z. I hold Ctrl and press backspace. Now, if I select one, if we want to work more professionally, we need to add a line here for this, that it's a triangle. But since we want to connect here, it doesn't matter for now. Okay, this is made under our dome, but the problem is that this needs to rotate 90 degrees. Let's turn on angle snap, okay? And let it go under there. Let's see how its position is. It's relatively good. But I can move this up exactly. I can move it up with snap, meaning I can bring this point and if you have trouble selecting and moving them, if you press space, this lock becomes bold here and shows that this object is locked and no other shape except this will be selected. Okay, I want to move this up a bit. I can also move it approximately if I turn on snap. I can move it with snap and place it exactly there. Okay, I turn off snap. With this, I also need to bring it up. I press 1. I select this and bring it. Interestingly, I can also use snap and bring it exactly to its place. Let's see what happened to it. It has gone exactly and is in its place. Very good. Let's turn off snap. Another point is that I need to connect the bottom part to the original shape. Both of them, I select them and press Alt-Q to isolate them and have only these two. See, when I came here, I made them one. Now, I can easily have these polygons opposite each other. And no extra polygons or lines here anymore. Very good. I want to show you that these shapes are separate. I want to make them one and then connect them to each other. I select my first shape, or it doesn't matter, and I can select the second shape, select. They both need to be editable poly. If you select this one too, you can right-click and convert it to editable poly or apply an editable poly to it. In the Edit Geometry section, there's an Attach section. I can attach this to this. And now you saw that it was attached. The interesting part is that if we go into Edit Poly and select element, it recognizes each one as a separate element. And now, an interesting thing that has happened is that both of them have their normals reversed. This issue of normals is something that we will have to discuss in more detail later. I'll flip them and this is from that conical hat part. Okay, I want to connect these two. I'll select polygon. I'll select these polygons. And I'll delete them with delete. Now I'll press 3 and select this border and this border. And if it does it easily for us, that would be great. In Edit Border, there's something called Bridge. I'll press Bridge. Very good. It didn't do this correctly for us. We have to press 2, and then if I press Bridge again, it still doesn't connect. This is a problem that exists here. Okay. Maybe it's better to do something else first. I'll press 5, select this shape, and how much I bring it down is very important. Let me bring it down a bit. See, 3 to 4 meters. Okay? I can bring this down very precisely along the y-axis by -5. And so that I remember later to bring it back up by -5. I'll press 1 because here we added a lot of vertices. Let me take all the vertices and apply a very small weld to them so that all these points, if they are misplaced, stick together. And there will be no problem. Now, if I press 3, you'll see that there's no line in the middle anymore. Very good. I'll press 5 again and right-click on Move. And along the y-axis, I'll move it up by 5 units. If I press 3, let's see if it bridges now. Yes, now it easily bridged because there was a problem with some polygons being open there. It didn't do that work for us. Good.